Right, we have a bit of a follow-up. We looked at some of the Jonathan Joss stuff yesterday. It's being spun as this, like, hate crime. When from what I can tell, it really seems like a neighbor feud that went wrong in the worst way. I don't think it's good to look at someone dying, especially when the partner has posted a very leading statement on Facebook about what's happened. And people just instantly, oh, I must believe everything this person says because they're a victim. And unfortunately now it's being spun as like this hate crime when it just doesn't seem to be one. It seems like there was a lot of shit going on both sides. But yeah, we've watched this person before. The last thing I saw from this person was completely deranged. We've got this, let's kick these fascists out of power together. It's about like the DSA, you know, the point of privilege people. We've all seen clips from that meeting, you know. But let's have a look. Let's see what they're saying.
So, folks, there is something that we need to talk about that I think is pretty important. Okay, many of you may have heard about the passing of Jonathan Joss, and if you guys aren't familiar with the name, you're probably familiar with some of his work. He played John Redcorn on King of the Hill, very, very famously. Genuinely one of the funniest guys on King of the Hill, and he's also famous for playing Ken Hote.
Yes, the mommy milkers guy. There you go.
On Parks and Rec, Chief Ken of the Wamapoke tribe. And one of the things that you should know is that he died very suddenly.
How can anyone hear Vorsh speak and think, I'm going to copy that? Well, what they probably did was looked at his wallet and looked at his sub count. Love him or hate him, Vorsh has done very well off of whatever the fuck he is, you know?
On, a couple days ago. This story makes me really mad and emotional, and I apologize if that comes through here, but like it's literally one of the most infuriating things I've seen in quite some time. Because if you go, and I've pulled up just like some stories that I was taking a look at the other day. I scrolled through my phone, right, and you find Jonathan Joss killed in San Antonio shooting, King of the Hill voice actor shot and killed in San Antonio. Suspected killer arrested, charged with murder. Dies in shooting at 59. Dies at 59 after being fatally shot.
So very standard, very stock.
Shot and killed at 59. Killed in Texas. Killed in Texas. What to know about King of the Hill actor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like it just page after page of this, right? And it's absolutely...
Yeah, the most normal reactions, the most normal headlines after an actor gets murdered. Actor of this age gets murdered. What's the problem going to be?
Absolutely infuriating. 4 or 5 pages.
Like, what is infuriating about any of this? What kind of brainworm are you on that you're getting angry looking at the most standard set of headlines ever? It's not like they're victim blaming. It's not like they're saying, thank Jonathan Joss is dead. None of them are saying any of that. So what could you possibly be getting angry over?
If you just went and read those articles, the vast majority of them, at best, didn't really have any details about what actually happened. It just says, he had an argument with his neighbor, and according to police and according to witnesses at the scene. And it's just like, okay, so he got into an argument. And if you read some of the other articles, I
mean, that's not even really true. Something happened that enraged him. Apparently it was finding a skull of a dog left there, which could have been done deliberately. Not a cool thing to do to someone who's lost one of their dogs in a fire. Whether or not it was their own fault the fire happened, irrespective. Something infuriated him. He was marching up and down with a pitchfork, shouting all this kind of stuff. Very easy to find. I found it very quickly. I have a video up on that already. Someone came along and killed him, who he has a long history of feuding with. Because they're not calling it a hate crime. Yeah, pretty much. But it's like, what does this person think happened, you know?
I think maybe it was the CBS one, if I'm remembering correctly. But they actually, paint John...
Like, everything they're saying, this is very stock. Especially on a breaking news thing. What did happen, 2 days ago, something?
Jonathan Joss as, potentially an aggressor in this circumstance, where they're like, well, his neighbors did say that he was known to be frequently carrying a crossbow, and a lot of the stories around him.
But if that's the case, why wouldn't they report on it?
Paint him as potentially a neighborhood menace of some kind. And it is maybe one of the most infuriating parts about this.
How do you know that he wasn't?
that is the angle that the reporters are taking on this. It is infuriating to
Show us. Look at this. For fuck's sake. This is the angle they're taking. Then show some examples. Show something egregious out of any of this media coverage. But nothing comes up on screen. This isn't your live right now. You can edit these things. You can put things up to support your thing. I do it sometimes. Like, you weren't there any more than I was, bro.
To a degree I cannot put into words. And I want you all to...
We've watched Vorsh a fair few times on my stream. Vorsh is like the father of Alec Gunter and someone like this, and Xander Hal, Nominal Naomi, all of those kinds of people. And Vorsh's father is Destiny. All these people are second generation Destiny clones. They're all people that were upset that Destiny wasn't as far left as they hoped he would be. Then Vorsh came along, who was as far left as they hoped he would be. Got very popular. And a lot of these people want in on that, you know what I mean? I can't blame them. Doing this kind of shit for a living is far easier than getting a normal job, so. Yeah, the police called him like 70 times. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm inclined to kind of characterize it as there was escalation on both sides. If he was a menace, maybe the other people were too. I'm not trying to imply that he did something that made it so that he deserved to be killed. And truthfully, I don't know. If that's what the witnesses are saying, that's what you're going to put in your coverage. Should they not say that kind of thing? What if fucking Matt Walsh got himself into the same situation and got killed over a feud, but the feud was very one-sided against him? Would this kind of person be saying it's not fair if they were to make out that Matt Walsh wasn't entirely blameless in this situation? That's how these neighborhood feuds go. That's how these neighborhood feuds go. It's never usually, I don't know who would have started it, but it generally gets escalated on both sides, and these things can get crazy.
To know a couple of things about this story. Number one, he was shot and killed outside of his family home, the home he grew up in. This was his community. He had lived there.
Well, it was all of their community, right? What does this matter? What's it got to do with anything?
Almost his entire life, okay?
So whoever lived there the longest is not the problem. That doesn't really make any sense, bro.
He had a connection to that community, and he stayed there. Another really important thing to know about this story is that Jonathan Joss was an openly gay man. And as you might imagine from his roles as John Redcorn and Ken Hotate, indigenous.
Listen, I don't know why we're doing the id poll here. What does this matter? The guy that shot him was Hispanic. You can do id poll on both sides of this equation. I mean, I'll grant maybe he has always like dated men, and it just the last person they dated was a trans man. That's fine. I can grant that. Again, what does it matter? Do gay people never do anything wrong? Do gay people never play one side in like a neighborly feud that goes way too far? That seems to be what happened, unfortunately.
And it is disgusting the way that he has been portrayed in most of the mainstream media. And
Then show it. Show us some. What's disgusting that anyone has said? I've had a look at it. Like they're reporting on what neighbors are saying. But I mean, it's very clear. That's what the neighbors are saying. If you're not a retard, you understand that when a witness gives a statement, that is just what someone's saying. You don't really know the truth until it all plays out in court, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you never know the truth. But what did any of them say that was disgusting? Like everything I looked through. Just people giving their side of the story. And we're going to find out, I guess.
It actively makes me like infuriated.
Yes, we get it. You're outraged. Show some fucking evidence.
Because one of the interesting things about this horrible tragedy, this horrible crime that was committed, is that there was a witness, a first-hand witness who was also there. Jonathan Joss's husband, Tristan Kern de Gonzalez. And somehow, in almost all...
Here's what we're going to get. Bias works one way, but not the other way. Everything the partner of Jonathan Joss says must be 100% true, despite the fact that you can't read someone's mind. You don't know why someone shoots another person. We're going to have to find out. Presumably he's going to say it's over this neighborhood dispute, which is not an excuse to shoot someone, of course not. But that's what I'm guessing. There's an awful lot of people right now. They're seeing the statement that the partner is making and just taking all of it as read. That's how it must be. This person, hate crime was committed. The person who came up and shot him just couldn't bear to see two gay men, when clearly that is not exactly what happened. Clearly, this guy was causing a scene. Again, doesn't mean he deserves to get shot dead. But that makes this kind of shit potentially extremely dishonest and deceitful. And you're trying to propagate a narrative to make people view this in a way that it might not ought to be viewed, you know? Imagine after you're dead, you are remembered as an indigenous gay, just a free prefix identity label. Yeah, I know, right? Wouldn't you rather be remembered as what you've done, your achievements? I don't know. I'd rather someone remembered me because I made like a piece of music they liked, or because they liked my stream, than because I'm trans.
All of the initial reporting on this, none of them mention Tristan's account of what happened. It is all according to...
Is that even true?
...the San Antonio Police Department.
I'm sure I saw some mention of it. But the problem is, like, what did it say in this account that he gave? My husband Jonathan and I were involved in a shooting while checking the mail at the site of our former home. Home was burned down after 2 years of threats from people in the area who repeatedly told us it would set us on fire. There's no evidence of this, by the way. And there's evidence, potentially, that it was a mistake on Jonathan Joss's part. He talks about the propane heater. It kind of seems like his account varies from one story to the other. Sometimes, oh, I left this on, maybe that's why it caused it. Other times, oh, well, someone said they were going to do it. But has there been any evidence? Clearly no one's been convicted of anything in this instance. We reported these threats to law enforcement multiple times, nothing was done. Throughout the time, we were harassed regularly by individuals. This seems to be true, but it seems like the harassment went both ways. Other people have accused these people of saying racial shit about the other person. There was something about Jonathan Joss threatening someone with a crossbow. When the police came, they found a crossbow in his house. Tristan has an incentive to say stuff. Yeah. There's bias on this side. And that doesn't mean that he's saying nothing truthful whatsoever. But it also means you might want to be careful what you believe and why. But to someone like this Riverboat Jack person, that bias only exists one way. Anything that you say, if you're a queer person on the same side as fucking Riverboat Jack, everything you say is the truth and gospel and can't be questioned. Throughout that time, we were harassed regularly. Yeah, it was back and forth. They've literally admitted also to like shouting and singing and playing drums late at night to piss off their neighbors. It was a two-way street. There was escalation on both sides. When we returned to the site to check our mail, we discovered the skull of one of our dogs, placed in clear view, caused both of us severe emotional distress, yelling and crying in response to the pain we saw. I'm very inclined to believe the thing about the skull of one of the dogs. Clearly something set Jonathan Joss off. Yelling and crying in response to the pain of what we saw. This isn't entirely honest. He was marching up and down with a pitchfork. He was there at least half an hour before this person showed up. This, I can't remember, something Seha, I can't remember how to say it. The guy that shot him. So the way it's characterized is a bit suspect. Yelling homophobic slurs at us. He then raised a gun from his lap and fired. We had no weapons, we weren't threatening anyone. Again, people might have seen it as threatening. Bearing in mind he was walking up and down with a pitchfork. Is that unarmed? I don't know if that's entirely true. We were grieving, we were standing side by side. When the man fired, Jonathan pushed me out of the way, he saved my life. He was my husband, he gave me more love in our time together than most people ever get. We were newlyweds, we picked Valentine's Day. We're in the process of looking for a trailer and planning our future. He was murdered by someone who could not stand the sight of two men loving each other. I just don't think that's true. I was with him when he passed, I told him how much he was loved. Your concern is how someone coped with trauma, how loudly they speak when recounting injustice and being ignored by the authorities. You never cared about my husband. Listen, I think there are problems with this statement. I don't think taking it as gospel is the right answer, and that's what some people are doing. I've been seeing it over and over. We watched this video by some smaller creator, literally saying something like, bear in mind I don't know all the details, and then proceeding to immediately take everything that person said as read. This is not a good thing. You're potentially believing something that is very leading, very misleading even, and very biased. And that doesn't mean, listen, whatever the neighbors are saying about him, I don't know how much of that is true. But these are like witness statements, you know what I mean? And did that Tristan person, did he want to talk to any of the media? If he didn't want to talk to any of the media, that's probably why his accounts are not included, right? There's lots of things we don't know. And the answer is not to do what this person is doing, another person like them are doing, and jump to these conclusions based on something like this. Cops can do very little about neighbor disputes. Yeah, that's the thing. It's always very difficult. There's always escalation on both sides, it seems. Especially when it gets to that extent. And we know there was escalation on both sides. I'm inclined to believe that Jonathan Joss got homophobic abuse from that person. Whether or not that person was doing it to be homophobic or just because he knows he's gay and that's the way he can get at him, But then on the other side, there's been reports of this Jonathan Joss person saying like racist stuff to the other person, threatening him with a crossbow, and then a crossbow is found in his home. Like the cops are probably never going to know who the main instigator is. It's going to be very he said, she said. Very difficult to do anything about, for sure. And these things get insane. And it's generally both sides that are at least somewhat to blame, unfortunately. But at the same time, again, someone got murdered over this shit. That's not right. Murdered someone that wasn't even living there anymore. I don't know. Clearly something's not right with the other person either.
It is according to police, according to police, according to police, according to police. The one on the ground.
Yeah, the main source they have because they're the ones currently working out what the fuck happened and dealing with it. Obviously.
Piece of reporting that I saw, and again, maybe I just missed something, but the one on the ground piece of reporting that I saw was from fucking TMZ, okay? And I'm just going to read you guys the statement that Tristan Kerndaga.
I read one story about cops being called out because Joss was walking around naked with a crossbow. Police showed up and he was naked and thought CIA was after him. Yeah, I don't know if it's the same one that I saw or something else. Apparently, the day before it happened, he was on some kind of live stream and someone was asking if he'd gotten sober yet, and he said no. That's the thing, substances are like often involved in these kinds of things. Being involved in a neighborhood dispute is stressful. Probably going to drive you to that kind of thing, but it also tends to make it worse.
Gonzalez posted onto Jonathan Joss's Facebook page.
Just wash your hair, by the way. Maybe I can't talk today, but like, fucking hell.
Okay. My husband, Jonathan Joss, and I were involved in a shooting while checking the mail at the site of our former home. That home was burned down after 2 years of threats from people in the area who repeatedly told us they would set it on fire.
Yeah, this is leading. There's no evidence. What I've looked into, the most likely scenario was it was this propane heater that was left on. It was mentioned, it was like characterized as a barbecue somewhere else. If it's a barbecue, don't those things take a while to like cool down?
We reported these threats to law enforcement multiple times.
Oh my god, Lady Raincloud. I know who that is. I need to watch that fucking panel show. That Lady Raincloud person. It's more like Destiny tent, so people aren't going to like it, but it's so funny, man. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. What have the police even done wrong in this situation? You don't know.
And nothing was...
ACAB is a fucking cult, man. It's a cult mantra. You're all the same person, copy-pasted. It's boring. It's not edgy. It's lame.
Done. Throughout that time, we were harassed regularly by individuals who made it clear...
He burned his own house down. Listen, I don't have evidence to say that either. Like, the most likely cause is that it was something he did wrong. I don't know that it's something he did deliberately. There's every chance. In the same way as there's every chance that someone could have come in and sabotaged something. But I haven't seen evidence for either. I mean, it doesn't matter anymore, in a way, because, you know, he's gone now, isn't he?
They did not accept our relationship. Much of the harassment was openly homophobic. When we returned to the site to check our mail, we discovered the skull of one of our dogs and its harness placed in clear view. This caused both of us severe emotional distress. We began yelling and crying in response to the pain of what we saw. While we were doing this, a man approached us. He started yelling violent homophobic slurs at us. He then raised a gun from his lap and fired. Jonathan and I had no weapons. We were not...
Whereas ACAB, all cops are bastards.
...threatening anyone. We were grieving. We were standing side by side. When the man fired, Jonathan pushed me...
It's basically lefty, fucking safe, edgy bullshit.
...out of the way. He saved my life. Jonathan is my husband. He gave me more love in our time together than most people ever get. We were newlyweds. We picked Valentine's Day. We were in the process of looking for a trailer and planning our future. He was murdered by someone who could not stand the sight of two men loving each other. I was with him when he passed, and I told him how much he was loved. To everyone who supported him, his fans, his friends, know that he valued you deeply. He saw you as family. My focus now is on protecting Jonathan's legacy and honoring the life we built together. If your concern is how someone coped with trauma or how loudly they speak when recounting injustice and being ignored by authorities, then you never truly cared about my husband. Jonathan saved my life. I will carry that forward, and I will protect what he built.
So let me guess. We're going to just instantly believe everything we just read there, even though there's several problems with that person's statement. Even if I can probably buy some of the stuff in there.
And I will protect what he built. Jonathan Joss died a hero. And the fact that mainstream...
You weren't that. You don't know if any of that is true.
Media keeps...
Like, he was attracting attention the way he was acting. Do you even know? Did you even read any of those articles that you showed the headlines of? You claim that you did. So then you know what he was doing.
Reporting on this is like, oh, it was a dispute between neighbors. An argument broke out. No. I'm sorry. Fuck that. I spent like 5 minutes looking into this. The police were called to Jonathan Joss's childhood home where they lived 74 times. 74 times on account of the threats.
How do you know that was because of the neighbors and not his behavior? Most likely, I would grant it's probably a mixture of the two. Like, this person doesn't know anything. They went there. They've read a handful of, stories about it. But you've got incredible bias in your brain. So if a supposed queer person gets hurt, instantly you form judgments and conclusions. Instantly you believe one side over the other. You don't know any of this. Like, why even talk about this, quite frankly? This is quite disgusting.
To burn down their home, which eventually did, the threats to burn down their home.
Has there been any proof, any evidence shown of these threats?
Which eventually did happen.
Who burned their house down?
2 years ago, their home was burned down, or after 2 years of...
By who?
Ongoing harassment, their home was burned down. Sorry. Their home was burned down in January. Their dogs were killed. And I'm sorry, I don't understand how someone can report on this as like it's an argument between two neighbors. The San Antonio...
Because that's what the evidence points to. That's what other people that lived there were saying. That there was a lot of crazy shit going on around these people. I find it interesting that none of the neighbors mention or talk about Tristan. My guess would be that for the most part, they were like inside. A lot of those calls were welfare checks. Where would I find that kind of stuff? That's the thing. Like, I've read some stuff about this. I don't know. I'm trying not to go too far in one direction because there's only so much I know. But that's the thing. This is like, this is something that's happened. That it's not like I was privy to. It's not like I was a party of. It's not like I know any of these people. That's why I'm not instantly taking a side and believing what one person says.
Antonio Police Department isn't even classifying this as a hate crime. Well,
there's not evidence of that. Apart from one person saying something on Facebook. Do they typically use Facebook posts as evidence?
Went to go check their mail. The remains of their dog from the fire had been set up for them to taunt them.
What did it look like? Did you get to see it? Do you know? I mean, it's possible someone put it there. Who was it?
And then as they were there in despair, a man rolled up to try and murder.
As they were there in despair. As one of them was marching up and down with a pitchfork. You said that you read stories about this. So how the fuck do you not know what was actually happening? Whilst they were in despair. As if they were just stood there crying. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know any of this. It's speculation. The remains of the dog. Well, yeah, it might have been. We don't even know if that was actually what it was. And like, if it was it by that neighbor? Was it someone else? We don't know. There's so much stuff that we don't know. They fucking burned their house down. That's in chat right now. Who did? Who burned their house down? Who did it? The only evidence I can find points to Jonathan Joss doing that. Probably accidentally. Maybe deliberately. I don't have evidence of that. That's why I'm not saying he burnt his own fucking house down. How do people get the remains of their dog? Jesus, I don't know. Might not have been their dog. Might have been someone knew that happened and like left that there to taunt them. It's possible. But I don't know, and nor does this person. The difference is, I'm not using what little I know about the story to weaponize a narrative, to push this narrative that people are just going around gunning down gay people. It's not happening. I'm sorry. We watched a video the other day. It was the same shit. Oh, it's just become the normal that people are just going around like gunning down gay people because they hate them. I'm sorry. That is not true. Like, what does it matter if this was a hate crime or not?
For both of them. Jonathan Joss was a beloved actor. He was a hero. He was indigenous. And like he was killed by the community he grew up in for being gay. There's no other
Killed for being gay. You don't know that.
way. There's no way to cut this. You have an eyewitness telling you what happened. You have the police records telling you, oh, hey, time.
What do the police... oh my fucking God, I hate these people. What do the police court records say? Do they say every single time Jonathan Joss was a victim, that he was just minding his own business and these people can't stop shouting shit at him, like throwing shit at him, whatever was happening? What evidence I've seen, it sounds like there were problems on both ends. What do the police records say? You say, oh, well, you have the police records, use them. What if they don't say what you think they say? Because you don't fucking know, do you? What a liar.
Time after time, hey, these guys keep threatening to burn down our house. These guys keep threatening to burn down our house. These guys keep threatening to burn down our house. And then mysteriously, the house burned.
Yeah, that's all that was happening. Yeah, that's what the police record said, I'm sure. Fuck me, dude. What the fuck do you know?
Down. And nothing is done. Nothing at all is done. And then when they return to get their mail, and one of them gets shot dead, and it's well, you know, the police. What are we to do? You know, it's.
Listen, if I get killed by someone, and fucking charlatans like this take that and use it to push some narrative of transphobia when it had nothing to do with transphobia, I'm haunting the fuck out of every single one of these people. Just saying, this is disgusting. You don't know any of this.
It's clearly not a hate crime. Ignore what one of the victims of the crime says. It definitely not a hate crime. I mean, we caught the guy a block away from the site of the shooting, and
I mean, they've gone back on the definitely not a hate crime since, but it doesn't look like that's what happened. It doesn't look like it was a hate crime. It's possible they made a premature statement, it's not a hate crime, when they didn't really have the information to say so. But at the moment, the information doesn't seem to be pointing that way.
He says it wasn't a hate crime, so I guess we got to go with that. According to the San Antonio Police Department, it was just a dust up between neighbors. And Jonathan Joss spent his last moments on Earth saving his husband from a guy who rolled up to kill both of them. Yeah, I'm seeing.
We don't even know if that's true.
People in chat, like an Enter Me fan, posting.
Like, they were unarmed. He showed up to kill both of them. Kind of seems like it would have had ample time if that's what he wanted to do.
I also just read that he died due to an altercation. Don't like to read the details of how people died when it's apparently not of political relevance, so just didn't check any closer. Yeah, there's something heinous going on in America right now, and I know.
Here we go. Appeal to a wider conspiracy because two neighbors fell out, and it went way too far. This is stupid.
Oh, that this is a bunch of newsrooms trying to avoid talking about a homophobic hate crime.
Like, on what grounds? With what evidence? Is there some kind of cover-up to avoid? They don't know whether it's a fucking hate crime yet or not, so why would they talk about it? And I've seen fucking news articles saying the police have gone back and said, well, we don't know if it's a hate crime, rather than this was not a hate crime. So they are actually talking about this shit, but they're doing so about as responsibly as you can expect from the media, because they don't really have the information to say one way or another. It's embarrassing. This is ridiculous. These people are nuts.
That occurred. I don't know. Maybe, but I am going to just say it's very bizarre to me that not one mainstream media website that I can go through 5, 6, 7 pages of news results on this story, and not a single one mentions that he died saving somebody's life, let alone that he died saving.
Yeah, because all they have is someone saying so on Facebook. I'm sorry. Super random, but are your eyes blue or green? One of them is blue and one of them is green. There you go. I'm not even kidding. I have heterochromia. Hope you're good, Jojo.
Saving his husband's life, let alone that the.
Yeah, it said so on Facebook, man. Why does this matter? Why are you het up about whether or not they described him supposedly saving his husband's life? We don't know about that. It just says so on Facebook. Who fucking cares? There's still so much more to come out about this. If you're getting upset about this, then something's gone wrong. I'm sorry. And like, if you look up, now they're investigating it as a hate crime. So people are talking about this angle. I mean, The Guardian, is that not a mainstream media fucking outlet? Literally using the husband's statement saying it was a homophobic hate crime. Police say there's no evidence of that. Okay, so this is an older one. More older posts. Backpedal on initial claim. It's not like they're not covering any of your talking points, but they're not going to be saying stuff that they don't know. And they're not going to be taking any one witness statement as gospel. Especially not from someone that traumatized. Like, what the fuck would have happened? How are they going to spin it in their head? How are they going to be able to cope with it? You got to be very careful.
The killer rolled up shouting homophobic slurs right before he shot.
He acts like he was there at the time and you just weren't.
One of the men to death. Like, I'm sorry. In any case, like, if a white supremacist rolls up and shoots a black person dead, we would all unanimously just say, oh, that's a hate crime. Absolutely.
If a white supremacist, is this guy an equivalent of a white supremacist? How?
A hate crime. So I don't understand how this is like special in some way.
Mate, if you don't understand, maybe don't talk about it. It's very simple. You find yourself looking at something. Oh, I don't understand why it's like this. I don't understand that. I don't understand the other. Maybe take that as a hint. Maybe expand your understanding and do more research. And maybe show like evidence of the claims that you're making. Show evidence of what is so disgusting about them not taking parts of this Facebook post and repeating them as if it's gospel. Like, this is insane.
In that it's just, it's just a dispute between neighbors, not a hate crime.
Well, how do you know that it wasn't? Oh my God. Holy shit. There was like so much evidence that yes, this was a dispute where both sides were like escalating. And once again, that doesn't mean someone deserves to get shot. Of course fucking not. I'm so opposed to the concept of blindly believing any allegation. Yeah, me too. Like, there is so much stuff that is still yet to come out over this case. And if we're getting this worked up, because you're like slightly unhappy about the media framing it however they frame it, when there's only so much they know about the actual situation yet.
Very bizarre. It's very suspicious. The fact that the police, genuinely, my read on this is the general ACAB take, which is that
you're in a cult. You're a cultist. This is cult behavior. ACAB is bullshit. Remember defund the police? Remember how that led nowhere? Remember how no one had any kind of consensus on why to defund the police and what that would achieve and what to do instead? And ACAB is like the bastard child of that, it seems. It's worthless. It's complete worthless logic, what you're operating on. I tell you what this is. This is fucking audience capture. I've been watching the comments. I've been watching the chat. Been a lot of ACAB. There's been a lot of fuck the police. There's been a lot of that kind of shit in here. So of course you're going to play credence to that shit. That's how you get your money. That's where this comes from. It's so fucking obvious.
Police didn't do anything in San Antonio because they're lazy as fuck and they don't give a shit about two gay men being harassed.
You're just making all this up. You say earlier, you have all the police records. You don't know what they say. You don't know what's actually been going on. Oh, I hate these people so much. Actually disgusting. How do you sleep at night?
By their local community, and that when finally push came to shove and one of them was murdered, they don't want to make a bigger deal out of it because they know that they responded to calls, to 74 different calls at that address.
Yeah, what were they about? What was any one of those calls about? Whose behavior was it about? Whose conduct? You don't know any of this. It's so fucking obvious. This person looks like if Amy Schumer and Becky Lynch had a baby that was fucking hell. They do look a lot like Amy Schumer. Listen, this is like trans validation. They look like a woman. There you go. Tristan wants to be recognized as a gay man. Being validated through victimization is a hate crime in their dream. What was that noise? Oh, I thought Charlie was fucking with me. Yeah, they mentioned in their Facebook post that it's about, oh, someone can't stand to see two gay men. It was very, even in this moment, I have to like validate my identity. It was a bit strange. But then, hey, listen, they're very traumatized. I guess, like, nitpicking their behavior and shit like that, as much as I do think they're spinning a narrative. Like, I have to be careful there. Your judgment is not going to be normal when something like that happens. Because ultimately, like, you know, whatever happens, that Tristan person is a victim. Let's be real.
And did nothing about it. They know, so they try and cover their ass. They try and downplay it. It's disgusting. And I
might be pragmatic here, but I'm just shocked to see the T's giving a shit about the G's. Well, it is a supposed gay man that was dating a trans person. I don't know if that factors into it. But I mean, are they giving a shit about a gay person? They're just spinning a narrative. Can you say that you give a shit about the person you're talking about because you're like buttering them up? Because you're lying? I don't know if that's giving a shit about something. I don't think this person actually cares 1 inch about Jonathan Joss. I think this person has seen a story that they can spin to push a narrative with. I think that's what's happening. I don't think this person gives a single fuck about Jonathan Joss or their husband. I think as soon as this dies down, they're going to completely forget about all this. Move on. Something else is now a problem that they can exploit to push a narrative and get money from their audience that clearly, to a certain extent, basically tells them what to think. I think this person is disgusting. I say that a lot, I guess, about these like radicalized, politicized like trans streamers, and not even just trans streamers, all kinds of like bread tubers and even anti-woke fucking people, even right-wing like streamers and content creators. It's just like narrative bullshit. You don't care about any of this. This will be completely forgotten to you as soon as it's not in headlines anymore. Once we find out the truth, and you disagree with it because it wasn't quite what you said it was. Oh, well, I think this anyway. And then move on. Never talk about it again. You don't give a fuck.
I know that like my channel is very small, but I want everyone to know that Jonathan Joss
is police phobic, not as bad as homophobic. Both judging everyone in the group as being bad. The way I kind of look at it, obviously being in the police is not like an immutable characteristic like we treat being gay as. But at the same time, to me, it suggests there's a similar mechanism going on there. I think there is. You get these far lefters. I don't think they're really any different to these like far righters that they hate so much. Like the kind of genuinely like racist people that they hate so much. I think there's a very similar mechanism in there. They just put this extra step of where they find some way of like justifying politically hating on the specific group of people. And then that's okay suddenly. To me, it suggests that a lot of these radicals are not as far apart from the radicals on the other side that they hate so much as they pretend. I think that that mechanism of hatred is like evolutionary. You see people from another tribe back in the day, back when survival was a much more pertinent thing. You see someone from another tribe who looks different from you. Immediately you're hostile because you don't know if they're going to come and try and kill you all and take all your shit. You know what I mean? So I think it's inbuilt to a certain extent. And it is something that people should try as much as they can to unlearn. But these people think that because they can justify giving into those instincts when they're not really relevant anymore. They think because of that it's okay for them to indulge in that when it's not really. Anyone else see Joss's ex-wife posting? I haven't seen any about that. When you say ex-wife, was that someone he was married to before?
Joss died a hero. And like, I want everyone to know that at the very least, there is an element here of homophobic bigotry. And to be honest with you guys, there's very likely an element here.
Just show some proof, show some evidence. What's linked here? Oh wait, nothing. It's just ways to give you money. Tesla takedown. Wait, aren't you kind of fucking with like working people? Tesla takedown. It's not very leftist, is it? Here's ways of giving me money. Here's my capitalist fucking store, even though I'm an anti-capitalist. He was married to a cis woman before. Oh, so he's not even gay then. Okay. Not that it matters. But even that characterization is a bit funny.
Of anti-indigenous bigotry. It's likely a combo of the two. Because that man probably thought he could get away with that homophobic hate
It was likely. See, again, we don't actually know any of this.
crime. in part because that man was Indigenous. And
Wait, he thought he could get away with it? Like, didn't take them long to catch him, though, did it? He was arrested. Did he run away? Did he turn himself in? I don't know. He was caught pretty quickly, though. Oh, by the way, Newsweek. How much of a mainstream media organization is Newsweek? Because this is literally quoting that person's Facebook post. He saved my life. What was it we said earlier? What was it we fucking said earlier? None of these mainstream media outlets were reporting on Jonathan apparently saving his husband's life. It's right fucking here, bro. This is an article from the 3rd of June. What a fucking liar. Oh yeah, all that research you did. Fuck off. Literally, it's quoting, like, pretty much the whole post. This is what people are saying, and then we're quoting it some more. What the police are saying. What I want to know is whether this Sieger person, like, turned himself in. I don't see self-defense happening here, no. No, I don't think he would get self-defense. They did say they spent a whole 5 minutes researching it. Yeah, Jesus Christ. But it's not hard to find this shit. What he's saying is innocent. But I mean, he has to be saying, surely, that it was self-defense, if that's what he's saying. Surely it's cut and dry that he was the guy that shot him. Categorically denies. And I mean, I find this very mad. Like, the guy doesn't live there anymore. All the articles I've seen quoted Tristan's Facebook post. Yeah. This Riverboat Jack guy is just fucking lying. I didn't see it, therefore it didn't happen, therefore I can use that to spin my shitty narrative. I don't think they spent any time looking into it. I think they read the Facebook post and just made a bunch of assumptions because they hate the mainstream media and they hate the police and they hate anyone that doesn't agree with them. Like, well, I'm just wondering whether he like turned himself in or what happened. Like, I'm sure there was a quote of him saying, "Oh, someone had to do it" or something. Yeah, quoting the post. Is it calling him a hero? Maybe not. Does that really matter that much? Is this not just finding some reason to hate on the mainstream media? The inference being, oh, well, I'm talking the real shit. You got to listen to me and not the mainstream media. Nah, I'd rather listen. I'm not a big fan of the mainstream media either. I'll take them over you, bro. I'm sorry about it. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm just so angry.
Yeah, he was detained. I don't know if he ran. I don't know if he tried to get away with it. I don't know if he turned himself in. My guess is he's going to try self-defense. I don't know based on what I've seen so far if that's going to hold. I can't see any justification ultimately for shooting him. Unless we see evidence, unless we see like threats being made, something like that. Criminal damage done. I haven't seen evidence of that. See, that's the thing. I'm not assuming that he must have deserved it. It's crazy. You can just comment on what you can see based on what evidence there is out there. And kind of leave the rest for now. Let's see what happens, you know?
One of the last public appearances of Jonathan Joss was a couple months ago at a King of the Hill reunion panel. I forget exactly where, but he apparently went up to the microphone and just started talking about how, like, you know, he'd been the target of homophobic harassment and his house was burned down and he was very sad that he wasn't invited on.
Yeah, in other places, he said that it might have been his fault that his house burned down. We looked at that earlier. We looked at that at the start.
To the panel. And it's just like, he should have been there. John Redcorn is fucking iconic. Like in the echelon of like indigenous characters on television that like mainstream audiences ever saw, he's like number one. He's the number one guy. You can find like maybe a handful of other examples, like the show Northern Exposure, but like a lot of people would name two indigenous actors. One would be John Redcorn, and the other would be Ken Hotate. He's both.
I can think of another one. What's that guy called? Is it Michael Horse? He was in Twin Peaks. I can't remember. There was one of the deputies. Oh wait, you're not gonna like that character. He's a policeman. Wait, never mind.
Both of those guys, and it's just so frustrating. So know that Jonathan Joss died a hero. and know that.
Yeah, no, because I'm saying so and because a Facebook post said so. This is propaganda. You shouldn't be doing this shit, man.
For whatever reason, mainstream media is not reporting on it, and I am a.
Literally, we looked at a post. We looked at an article that quoted that part of the fucking story. You're just lying at this point. Just because you didn't see it didn't mean that anyone didn't report on it.
Afraid that it is because they are afraid. They're afraid of what those headlines, what kind of attention those headlines might bring. And I gotta let you guys know, I'm not.
No. That is like, those headlines was like stock. That's like stock reporting on something that has just happened and there's breaking. They don't go into much detail. There's like obvious reservation dogs. I haven't seen it either, to be clear, but I don't know. I don't virtue signal about identities and shit like that.
Not fucking afraid. This was a goddamn hate crime. Rest in power.
Yeah, based on nothing. You don't know anything about this, and you don't give a fuck about the people involved. Be honest. This is your quest to get a little more of that from your audience capture, because all of these people want to hear exactly what you're saying, because they're all fucking retards.
Jonathan Joss, absolute hero. It's a goddamn shame. It shouldn't have happened. It genuinely shouldn't have happened.
Well, that was fucking ghastly. I don't know. I guess I'm going to keep finding videos of people lying about this incident, and I'm going to keep speaking out against it. That's fine. That's fine. That gives me something to do. That gives me something to focus on. I like having a clear path forward. That's fine. Riverboat Jack is a fucking disgusting piece of shit, by the way.